They say heartbreak has two voices, the one that cries for what is gone and the one that whispers, maybe it's not really over. If you've ever found yourself lying awake at 2 a.m., scrolling through old photos, or staring at the ceiling replaying conversations you can't change, then you know that whisper well. It's the fantasy of getting back together. For many of us, the idea of reunion feels like the safest kind of hope. After all, if you've already loved someone deeply, if they've held your secrets and memorized your laugh, why start over with someone new? Isn't it easier to return to the familiar than to step into the unknown? When a relationship ends, memory doesn't. That's the cruel trick of the human heart. We remember their favorite coffee order, the way they tilted their head when listening, the silly inside jokes that no one else would ever understand. And the mind, in its desperation for comfort, polishes those memories until they shine brighter than they ever were. Psychologists call this rosy retrospection, our tendency to idealize the past, to remember it as better than it was. But when it comes to an ex, it doesn't feel like a trick. It feels like truth. The laughter was real. The intimacy was real. The way your hand fit into theirs, real. And so when the loneliness creeps in, when Friday nights feel too quiet, the fantasy returns. Maybe we could try again. Maybe love deserves a second chance. New love is daunting. It's awkward first dates, guarded conversations, the anxiety of wondering if they'll text back. But an ex, they're already written into the story of who you are. You don't need to explain your past, your quirks, your scars. They've lived them with you. This is why so many people, even years after breaking up, can't help but imagine a reunion. Because with an ex, the starting line feels shorter. You don't begin at zero, you begin at remember when. And there's a kind of comfort in that, a kind of safety. It tricks us into thinking that going back means we're skipping the hardest parts of love. The introductions, the uncertainty, the risk of being unknown. Here's another truth. Most breakups don't end cleanly. Words are left unsaid, feelings are unresolved, promises hang in the air, heavy with what if. And when closure is missing, the heart convinces itself that the story isn't over. It tells us that maybe, just maybe, the breakup was a pause, not a full stop, that will circle back when the timing is right. This is why people stalk their ex's socials, why they check old messages, why they linger in the places they once shared. It's not just about nostalgia. It's about searching for proof that the thread hasn't snapped, that maybe the universe is holding the story for a sequel. But here's the part most of us don't want to admit. When we fantasize about getting back together, we're not always longing for our ex. We're longing for the version of ourselves that existed when we were with them. Think about it. What do you miss more? The person, or the way you laughed more easily back then? The comfort of waking up next to someone who knew you, or the illusion that life was simpler when you were in love? We tell ourselves we miss them, but often we miss us, the us that existed in that moment of time. On the surface, there's nothing wrong with hoping. Hope is human, but the danger lies in what we're really doing when we hold on to the fantasy of reunion. We're clinging to the past instead of opening to the future. We're chasing memory, not reality. We're protecting ourselves from the fear of starting over by telling ourselves that the ending doesn't have to be real. And in doing so, we risk staying stuck. Stuck in longing, stuck in loops of what if, stuck in a love that no longer exists except in the echo chamber of our own mind. I'll admit it, I've been there. After my own breakup, I told myself stories every night. He'll realize what he lost, he'll text me. We'll sit down, talk it out, and this time, it will work. I rehearsed those reunions in my head like a script. Every word chosen, every outcome perfect. In my mind, he always came back. In reality, he never did. And yet, the fantasy kept me alive for a while. It was a lifeline, a way of holding on to something when everything felt like it was slipping. But I also realized months later that the fantasy kept me from healing. Because as long as I believed we could return to what we were, I never fully let go of the grief that we weren't. So, can you and your ex get back together? The fantasy says yes. The memories whisper yes. The comfort of the familiar screams yes. But before you give in to that hope, you have to ask yourself, do you want them back? Or do you want the person you were when you loved them? Because those are not the same thing. And until you can tell the difference, the fantasy will own you. If part 1 was about the fantasy, the soft, intoxicating hope of reunion, then part 2 is where we peel back the curtain. Because behind every daydream of rekindled love lies a darker, harsher truth. Most reunions don't last. It's not because love wasn't real, it was. It's not because you didn't care, you did. The brutal truth is simpler and sharper. The very reasons you broke up the first time will still be waiting for you the second. Truth number 1, people rarely change overnight. We want to believe in transformation. We tell ourselves that time apart has turned them into someone new, that a few months of silence has erased old habits, healed wounds, rewired their flaws. But the reality? Change is slow, messy, and often incomplete. If jealousy poisoned your relationship before, it will surface again. If communication was broken, silence will creep back in. If promises were made and broken once, they're easier to break the second time. Think of it this way. You don't buy a broken clock, walk away for a season, and expect it to suddenly start ticking perfectly when you return. Time doesn't fix what people refuse to face. Truth number 2, you're not going back to the same person. Here's the lie we tell ourselves: if we get back together, it'll be just like before. But you're not who you were when you first fell in love. Neither are they. Maybe you've hardened. Maybe they've drifted. Maybe the person you fell for, the one who made you laugh at midnight, who held your hand in the dark, is not the one standing before you now. When you reunite, you're not returning to the relationship you had. You're stepping into something new, built on the ruins of the old. And ruins rarely make steady foundations. Truth number 3, the pain repeats itself. They say history repeats itself, and in love, it's painfully true. Couples who break up and get back together often find themselves stuck in a cycle. Passion, promise, collapse, again and again. Why? Because the brain remembers the highs and forgets the lows. But the heart, when faced with the same patterns, bleeds in all the same places. You'll fight the same fights, you'll reopen the same wounds. And each time, the cut runs deeper, because this time you know exactly how it ends. Nostalgia is seductive. It tells you the bad wasn't that bad, and the good was better than anything else. It convinces you that your ex is irreplaceable, that no one else will ever laugh at your dumb jokes the same way, or know how you take your coffee. But nostalgia is selective. It edits the movie of your past, cutting out the nights you cried yourself to sleep, the mornings you felt unseen, the silence that grew like walls between you. And when you let nostalgia guide you, you don't fall back in love with your ex. You fall in love with a memory. Many people go back to their ex not because they believe in a future, but because they crave closure. They think, if I try again, and it fails, at least I'll know for sure. But here's the trap. Most of the time, it doesn't give you closure. It gives you repetition. Instead of ending the story, you simply reread the same painful chapter, hoping for a different ending. And every reread makes the story harder to put down. I once knew a woman who broke up with her partner after 3 years of fighting. She said she couldn't take the jealousy, the constant suspicion. 6 months later, he showed up at her door with flowers and promises. She let him in. For a few weeks, it was magic. He was attentive, gentle, everything she wanted him to be. But soon, the cracks returned. The questions: who were you with? Why didn't you answer? The arguments, the tears, the apologies. They broke up again, this time harder, this time crueler. And when I asked her if she regretted giving him another chance, she said something I'll never forget. I don't regret it, but I regret that I had to learn the same lesson twice. So why do we ignore all this? Why do smart, self-aware people still run back to the arms that once let them go? Because hope is louder than reason. Because loneliness is heavier than logic. Because in a world full of uncertainty, the devil you know feels safer than the one you don't. But safety is not the same as love, and comfort is not the same as growth. So yes, you can get back together with your ex. But if you do, know this: you're not returning to what was, you're entering something else entirely. The reasons you broke apart will still be waiting, and the pain, if you're not both radically different, will repeat itself. It's not a fairy tale. It's not the movie where they run back into each other's arms and everything is perfect again. It's a gamble, a costly one. And the harsh truth? Most of the time, it's a bet you lose. By now, we've looked at the fantasy and we've faced the harsh truths. But honesty also requires balance. Because while most reconciliations end in repeated heartbreak, there are rare stories, unexpected, extraordinary, where two people do find their way back to each other, stronger than before. It's not common, it's not easy, but it's possible. And those rare second chances share some patterns worth noticing. Reason number 1, time apart creates growth. For many couples, the first relationship fails not because love wasn't real, but because timing wasn't right. Maybe you were both too young, too immature, carrying wounds you hadn't learned to heal. Maybe you hadn't yet built the patience, communication, or self-awareness that a healthy relationship demands. Time apart can sometimes act as a teacher. Distance gives perspective. You learn who you are outside of them. You stumble, grow, and confront the flaws you once projected onto each other. And if, years later, you cross paths again, you might be meeting as two people who have shed the immaturity that once broke you apart. I once met a couple who dated in college but couldn't survive the pressures of early adulthood. They broke up, spent 4 years apart, lived in different cities. In that time, they both grew. One overcame deep insecurity, the other learned independence. When they reconnected by chance at a wedding, it wasn't about recreating the past. It was about building something new with the maturity they had earned separately. Today, they're married. Reason number 2, the breakup was about circumstance, not character. Sometimes love is strong, but life gets in the way. Long distance, career opportunities, family expectations. If the breakup happened because of timing or circumstance, factors outside your control, then there's a chance reunion can work once those barriers shift. But here's the key. The breakup cannot have been about toxic patterns, betrayal, or disrespect. Because character flaws don't dissolve just because time has passed. A man once told me about breaking up with his girlfriend when she moved overseas for work. They loved each other deeply, but neither wanted to hold the other back. After 3 years, she returned to their hometown. Both were single. Both had lived full lives apart. When they reunited, the love was still there, and now the distance wasn't. That relationship thrived because the obstacle had never been about love. It was about geography. Reason number 3, real communication and accountability. A successful reunion requires more than feelings. It requires courage, the courage to face what broke you apart and to talk about it openly. Most exes who try again skip this step. They rush back into the comfort of hugs and kisses, pretending the past doesn't exist. But if you can't sit across from each other and say, "Here's what I did wrong, here's what you did wrong, and here's how we change it," then you're only painting over cracks. One couple I knew broke up because of trust issues. She felt neglected. He felt criticized. They split. A year later, therapy, personal growth, and raw honesty brought them back to the table. Their reunion started not with a kiss, but with hours of painful conversation. They didn't erase the past, they studied it. And only then did they choose to rebuild. They've lasted ever since. Reason 4, both people choose each other. Fully, relationships don't collapse from love alone. They collapse when one or both people stop choosing each other. A reunion only works when both are ready to say, "This time, I'm all in." No half measures, no safety nets, no secret plan B. It's not enough for one person to show up with flowers and apologies. Both must step forward with equal willingness to rebuild. Because reconciliation is not a rescue mission, it's a partnership. When a reunion does work, it carries a beauty unlike anything else. There's a depth, a humility, a gratitude that first loves rarely have. To lose someone, to live without them, and then to choose them again, it makes you hold love differently. You understand its fragility, you don't take it for granted. But again, let's be clear. This is rare. Most couples don't get this miracle. Most attempts at reconciliation fail because love is not enough without growth, without accountability, without choice. So can you and your ex get back together? The harsh truth is, usually, no. But sometimes, if you've both grown, if the breakup wasn't about betrayal, if you're both willing to face the past, then yes, a second chance can bloom. But here's the paradox. The only way a reunion works is if you're both strong enough to have truly let go first. If you're clinging, if you're desperate, if you're still bleeding from old wounds, the reunion will fail. Because second chances don't work when you're still the same people repeating the same story. They work only when you've both become new characters, ready to write a different ending. By now, we've asked the question everyone asks after a breakup. Can you and your ex get back together? But there's a deeper, heavier question that most of us avoid because it's harder to answer. Should you even try? There's a difference between wanting something and needing it. Wanting your ex back comes from memory, from loneliness, from the ache of unfinished stories. Needing them back suggests your happiness is impossible without them. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If your sense of self, your joy, your worth depends on another person returning, then you don't need them. You need healing. Too often, people mistake their craving for closure as proof of undying love. They say, "I can't live without them." But what they really mean is, "I don't know who I am without the version of me that existed when they were around." Even if you could go back, should you? Remember, a breakup is rarely just one moment. It's hundreds of little disappointments, ignored needs, unspoken resentments. You may think you're chasing the love you had, but in reality, you're chasing the cycle that broke you. Ask yourself, if nothing has truly changed, am I ready to relive the same pain again? Because that's the risk. Getting back together isn't just about rekindling love, it's about reopening wounds that never fully healed. Many reunions are not about love at all. They're about fear. Fear of starting over. Fear of loneliness. Fear of discovering that maybe, just maybe, your best years weren't with them after all. But fear-driven choices rarely end well. When you go back to your ex because you're scared of the unknown, you're not choosing love, you're choosing comfort. And comfort, while tempting, can also be a cage. One of the most dangerous myths we cling to is the idea that our ex was the one, the only person capable of loving us, understanding us, completing us. But here's the truth. There is no single one. There are only people who, at different times in our lives, align with the version of ourselves we are becoming. Your ex might have been perfect for you once. That doesn't mean they are perfect for you now. Love that fit you at 20 might suffocate you at 30. The one who held your hand through youth may not be able to hold your dreams through adulthood. Here's a painful but necessary reflection. Sometimes going back isn't an act of love, it's an act of self-betrayal. You know the red flags. You've lived through the fights. You've felt the loneliness of being together but unseen. And yet you consider stepping back into the same storm because the thunder feels familiar. But love shouldn't demand that you abandon yourself. If reuniting with your ex means silencing your needs, shrinking your dreams, or sacrificing your peace, it's not love, it's surrender. The question, "Should I try again?" always assumes one thing, that your best chance at love is behind you. But what if it isn't? What if the love waiting for you is not a recycled chapter, but an unwritten one? What if the person who will truly love you, the way you need to be loved, hasn't even entered your life yet? When you keep looking back, you close the door on what could be. And maybe that's the real tragedy. Not that your ex is gone, but that by holding on, you risk missing the love that was meant for the person you're becoming. So, should you even try to get back with your ex? The answer isn't a simple yes or no. It's this. Are you willing to confront the reasons it ended? Are you both different people now, capable of writing a new story? Or are you clinging to comfort, nostalgia, and fear of moving forward? Because in the end, the only reunion worth chasing is one built on growth, not desperation. On choice, not fear. On the courage to face the past honestly and still decide to move forward together. And if that's not what's on the table, then the answer is clear. You shouldn't try. The bigger question isn't can you, it's should you. And if you listen closely, past the noise of memory, past the echo of their voice, you'll find the answer isn't buried in your ex at all. It's buried in you. Because the real decision isn't about whether they're worth a second chance. It's about whether you're worth more than repeating the same heartbreak twice. We've wandered through the fantasy, we've faced the harsh truths, we've explored the rare moments when reunion is possible, and we've asked the bigger question, not just can you, but should you? Now comes the hardest part, answering. And here's the paradox that may frustrate you, but also free you. There isn't one single answer. Love, loss, and healing are too complicated for absolutes. But what I can give you is a frame, a way to hold the question without letting it consume you. After heartbreak, certainty feels like oxygen. We want to know if going back will fix us. We want someone to hand us the script, to promise us that trying again will either heal everything or save us from the attempt. But relationships don't work that way. They're not math problems with one correct solution. They're messy, fluid, changing with every choice we make. So if you're waiting for someone to tell you yes, you should go back, or no, you should never look back, you may be waiting forever. The truth is less about rules, more about reflection. Less about what your ex is doing, more about who you are becoming. One of the most common reasons people go back is the search for closure. You think, if we try again and it fails, then at least I'll know for sure. But here's the raw truth. Closure rarely comes from someone else. Even if they returned and gave you all the answers, you'd still be left with questions, because closure is not about their actions, it's about your acceptance. And acceptance doesn't need their permission. Whether or not you can or should get back together, there's one choice always in your control: choosing yourself. That doesn't mean selfishness. It means honoring your growth, your needs, your worth. It means asking, am I stepping back into this because I believe in our future? Or am I stepping back because I'm afraid of facing mine alone? The person who deserves your love most right now isn't your ex. It's the version of yourself that survived heartbreak, that is still standing, still breathing, still daring to ask the hard questions. You may always wonder, what if? What if we tried again? What if it could have worked? What if love could be reborn? And that's okay. Wondering doesn't mean you failed. Wondering means you cared. But life isn't meant to be lived backwards. The gift of what if isn't a command to return. It's a reminder to carry what you've learned into what comes next. Because the truth is, love doesn't always return in the same form. Sometimes it's not about rekindling an old flame. It's about lighting a new one, brighter and steadier than before. So can you and your ex get back together? Maybe. Should you? Sometimes. But here's what I believe most. Your story with them doesn't have to end neatly to matter. It doesn't have to come full circle to have value. Some love stories are meant to last forever, and some are meant to shape you and then let you go. Both are real. Both are valid. Both are love. And maybe that's the open-ended answer we all need. If you're watching this, you're probably holding a heart heavy with memories. You may be considering reaching out. You may be resisting the urge. Or maybe you're simply lost in the echo of what once was. Wherever you are, I'll say this: be gentle with yourself. Love isn't easy. Heartbreak isn't simple. And the courage it takes to even ask these questions, that's proof you're stronger than you know. So tell me, have you ever gone back to an ex? Was it worth it? Did it heal or did it hurt? Share your story in the comments. I promise you, someone out there needs to hear it. And if this resonated with you, subscribe to The Former Flame for more stories, truths, and reflections on love, heartbreak, and moving forward. Because sometimes the past lingers, but the future still waits.